welcome to Satsang, your personal communion with God or truth, because that's what the term actually means. God is truth, and the devil simply represents falsity, that which is an obstruction to truth. I'm kind of many of you have noticed that I really shied away for the longest time of using that term God, because it has so much overhead. It's got so much stuff that's been laid on top of it over the centuries. It's been so abused, used as the justification for, oh my God, some of the most horrific things in human history. It seems to bring out when the ego, that sense of a personal self and its love of power wraps its hands around it. It becomes a justification for all sorts of things, which it still is. It's still being used in that way. So I kind of wanted to explore it a little bit and try to reclaim the essence of it, the goodness of it, the value of that term, and help those of us who grew up in the West, right? And I'm going to say the Middle East too, because it's all the tradition of the same Muslim, Christian, Judaic, because they all have the same root, right? They all have the same root of this particular sense of God that was very personal, very capricious, demanding, punitive, violent, capricious, because you change his mind on a whim. And the record of him is just filled with contradictions and missteps. But I wanted to bring into it the element that is always overlooked, even in the Christian Judaic tradition. The famous story of Moses and the burning bush and God, and asking him, her, this disembodied being, speaking through a bush that's on fire but isn't getting burned up. Who sent me? When I go, and I go on this mission, okay, I'm taking the mission, right? And they say, who sent me? In whose name am I coming? I can't be coming on my own. I'm just this stupid guy tending sheep in the middle of nowhere. And it's the most enigmatic response. You say, who sent me? And he says, I am that I am. What? What the hell does that mean? So I'm supposed to go say to everyone, I am sent me? Hey, I'm here on behalf of I am. And interestingly enough, if you read the rest of the narrative and the Moses and the whole thing with the Pharaoh and the Exodus, which never actually happened, by the way. I mean, it's completely a mythological story. And it represents the Exodus from the bondage that is within, which is our own sense of ourself, which the devil represents. But I'm digressing. Never once during the entire story does Moses ever say that. Nobody asks him, and he never volunteers that information, which I find very interesting to note. Which means there's a deeper meaning to it. The sense I am. To me, the most obvious way of looking at that is that sense of the I am, the great I am, that was whispering to Moses out of that bush, is the very same sense I am that you and I are experiencing every single day. It is only because of this very strange tradition that it got twisted into this God out there somewhere, right? Heaping all sorts of nasty stuff on you, mostly nasty. Holding up a few carrots that you never actually get, and maybe one after you're dead if you've done a good job. you may get one of those carrots. It's a big carrot. Right? It's a really nice carrot, but it's a carrot nonetheless. But instead, looking at it as something extremely intimate, something you might say that's hidden right inside of you, right in the heart, right behind the eyeballs. That the God within, right? The I am within. And everyone here has a sense of I am. Heck, the mosquito has a sense of I am. They can't articulate it, they can't form concepts, but there's no such thing as a being that doesn't have a sense of I am. It's kind of the universal thing. Well, what if that is what that whole story was referring to? Not something out there, not some super being, not some cultural manifestation, not some promiser of benefits but deliverer of punishment, not the great enforcement of the law, but the actual silent inner sense we all have. What if that is the true God? What if that's the truth? What if that sense I am is not just a personal being, is not just somebody, happens to be living inside this body, right? Still, that may get released from the body at some time, but still very, very compressed, very, very finite. What if that's a complete misconception of what the I am is? The real nature of that sense I am, that is not dependent on the body, that's been there forever, which has no beginning and no end. What if that's the truth? What if that is truly God? Well, then what then is the devil? Well, the word, the devil, his name is Satan, right? But Satan in the Old Testament is a title. It doesn't refer to a being. Matter of fact, even in the early Christianity, there's not a lot. There's no evidence for that. It really is, our view of the devil and the horns and all of that is a medieval idea. It came much later. That it simply means one who opposes. Anyone who opposes is a Satan, right? The prosecuting attorney in a trial is a Satan. It's the one that accuses one of wrongdoing or guilt. And of course, we don't have to have anybody outside of doing that. We're doing it all at the time to ourselves. And because of this misunderstanding of God, we believe, we accept, we plead guilty to charges that aren't true, because we have been disconnected from the truth, the true I am, the true God, and not recognizing the true devil, which is simply everything that says that's not true, everything that announces you as an I am other than that. But this is a process. This is not something that you flip overnight, because it is so deeply ingrained in us individually, and of course ingrained in the culture as a whole. I mean, look at the world. The whole world is based on this idea that you're the problem. that you are guilty. When you're guilty, you deserve to be punished, and that's the right way to do things. And if you're not, well, then praise God. So you get all the blame and none of the credit. What a great deal that is. That kind of sounds like mom, doesn't it? So the only thing I want to do with this is to point you towards that sense of I am, and to recognize there may be more to it than just this personal feeling of being. That In fact, that simple phrase in that beautiful mythological story, that God was announcing himself, herself, as the very sense of being within you, that we've misidentified it as a personal I, but in fact it is the impersonal I, appearing very personally, experiencing very personally. It's not a denial of one's humanity or one's personal experience and any of the stuff that happens in one's life. It's a redefining it. Who is it that's actually having this experience of the person and a personal life and relationships and friends and work and interests and loves and hates and the whole? Who is it that's actually having that experience? That would be the I am, for sure, right? Because if you look at who's experiencing the body, who's experiencing the mind, who's experiencing friends, who's experiencing all of this, well, it's you. Right? In that sense, I am. But now, who are you? Are you just a person experiencing personal things? Or is this, in fact, the true God, the I am, the truth, the impersonal truth that is the very essence of the person, the very essence of the being, the very essence of beingness itself? The beingness, not a being, but beingness itself, manifesting itself in countless forms. That's the true God. That's what God, the word God, actually refers to. Right? You can dispense with all of the theological nonsense that has just been developed over the years, centuries actually, right? You can just dispense with it. Right? Now, you may still feel a certain kind of tug because we were all taught to fear this God. But somehow that was the key to righteousness, which is just insane. Right? But just notice that that's simply an old reverberation as part of conditioning within the system, and be adamant and faithful that it's not the truth. That is not the nature of the true God, the true self. I want to make it clear, you're devoting yourself to the truth. You know, the seeker is seeking the truth, not seeking special benefit or special esoteric knowledge, just the truth. And the truth of myself. That's the only thing that matters. What is the true self? And of course, the whole discourse in the beginning was that true self is what we have named God and then mistaken for something other than the self. Hey everybody, GP here, and thank you very much. Since you've watched all the way to the end, I know you're getting a lot out of this message and this whole approach to spirituality and energy healing. So please, if this is meaningful to you and has been helpful to you, please like and share. As they say, press all those buttons down below. And for those of you who are able and really want to help support me in this, I do have my Patreon, my Patreonic place where you can support me in any way that you possibly can. I do all of this myself. I try to keep all the stuff here free and without any kind of advertisements or monetization. And in so doing, I do it all myself. The production, the quality, the editing, the audio, the lights, the makeup, which there is none. I do it all myself because I want to keep everything as reasonable as I possibly can. So if you can find it to support me in this work, I deeply appreciate it. But thank you all for watching. And most importantly, thank you for taking the message into your heart and letting it touch you. Until later, namaste.